Hello everyone, it's Miranda here from Prima Marketing, and I've got a design team project showcasing the Julie Nutting range along with the Sweet Peppermint collection by Frank Garcia and Prima. And you'll see here that this doll looks totally Christmas ready, but you're going to see me jump right into the tutorial, and I'm showing you which doll I used. I used Skelly, which she is a Halloween one, and you would never guess by looking at the finished product. But all I did is I used masking tape, like you see me doing right here, and I taped off her face, and I didn't use the pumpkin bag, and I just taped because her face was a skull and there was no making that Christmassy, so I just taped that off and then went over it with my ink pad as usual. And then after I get it adhered to my acrylic block, which was a little short, so I had to go a little diagonally there, you'll see me go in with my scissors and just pull off that masking tape. Now I'm stamping here on a piece of the Sweet Peppermint paper collection, but I do go in a minute and I don't show it, but I switch out for the white watercolor tag pad because the elements like her skirt and stuff that I'm doing right now, it just didn't pop as much on that beautiful background paper. I love that imagery in that sheet that I stamped her on, but it didn't work as well. Okay, so this is a great reason to save all of your scraps. I've already jumped into it. I did her skirt, and now I'm going to do her top on this foiled sheet. All the 12 by 12s come with metallic foil for the Rosie Bell and the Sweet Peppermint collection. It's beautiful. So you'll see me just stamping random pieces. I have all kinds of scraps. I save them always because I will say a disclaimer. This is the first time I have used a Julie Nutting doll. I do believe. I'm pretty positive it's the first time I have. So it was really fun, actually. I think I will be doing more. I drew a lot of inspiration from you ladies who do such amazing work with them. I know a lot of you don't like fussy cutting, and I am paper piecing her outfit here and her hair and her shoes and stuff. But I do color her skin, which I am not a professional by any means, so you'll see me do that in a minute. But if you don't like fussy cutting, they do have dies for a lot of their new ones that have just been released, and then they did dies for some of their older, really popular ones as well. So those of you who hate fussy cutting, I would definitely recommend grabbing those dies because it's fun to color, but for me, I just love using my Prima papers, my pattern papers. I love it. Like, that is a beautiful look right there that you cannot get with coloring. So I didn't show all of it because it would have just been forever. I cut a lot. Now I'm going in with a bunch of different Prima markers, and I will have them listed below. And you can see there I stamped it on that white tag pad that's right in the background. And I have a full supply list on my blog and on Prima's blog. And I am not a colorer. I have no clue what I'm doing, you guys. You can see there I made the black bleed a little bit because I was coloring too early. But, hey, I am not a professional, but it was fun. It was really easy to do. So I'm just kind of giving her some shadows and some lighter ones. I think I used Skin White, Barely Beige, and there was like a rose color that I used too as well. But there'll be a full supply list, of course. So I'm just going around and coloring all of her skin. And you can see there she's got those knobby knees, but that goes with that skeleton look. But after I stamped like that right there with the music note, that's a Finnabair music note stamp set. It's a really old background stamp from like her Vintage Vanity range. I don't even know the SKU number for it because it's that old. So it's really old. I've had it forever, but I use it all the time. So after I stamped with that, you couldn't see it anymore. So now I'm paper piecing, and I'm using the planner glue pen, which is my new favorite. I had 4 of them, and I've used all but one, and I'm almost out of it. It is perfect for adhering paper. It's very strong, and that shirt looks so adorable now. So I did her hair in different ways because it was kind of hard to get all of it cut. So I left the bow on here, but I will end up covering it. And I do end up at the very end coloring the hair too, just to make it a darker pink, because I really wanted her to be very Christmassy, kind of like she was Mrs. Claus. And I'm just adding, you can see me going around all my edges with black ink. That's one of the chalk edgers from Ingold Bowman. I love them. And I really like to go around all of my fussy cut edges because it just really ties everything together, makes it look cohesive, and gives a definitive border to everything as opposed to just kind of blending around. So I always go around with the black ink, and I love the chalk edgers because they're so tiny. And that bow, I just put adhesive in the center because I'm going to make it three-dimensional, as you can see right there. Just by pinching it and pulling it upward, it's now 3D. And then her shoe pieces were so tiny. This was very fun. Bona, who is one of our Live with Prima instructors, she does amazing work with Jolie nutting stuff. And Marta, she's on our regular design team. She does amazing work, and I drew inspiration from both of them for this. So shout out to them for their amazing work, and all of you ladies who do so well. Now you can see here I'm using a scrap piece of tag to make mine on. I don't like to waste. And I had done some things on the back of this, which you'll see I was playing around with watercolors and it did not turn out right. And I didn't want to throw it away, so I put it back in the tag, and it's getting covered with paper anyway. So that is what I'm using here. So when I flip it over, you'll be like, what is that? But that's going to get covered with paper, so no worries. Always save your scraps. So after I glued that, I did cut away the excess edges. All right, now I'm taking some of the white gesso, which is the Art Basics line from Bear, and I watered it down, and I'm using a fan brush to add some splatters. It's just a beautiful technique. I love adding splatters, and it looks so pretty on top of the doll. And on top of all my papers. I have all the papers cut there that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to town, splattering it. It's got some big splotches, some smaller ones, and it kind of gets everywhere. I know some people have mastered the art of it only going on your paper, but I have not. So it pretty much does get everywhere, but I'm very happy with the result. Now I'm using Dragonfly Blue, and that is one of the limited edition color bloom sprays. And I highly recommend these. They are my favorite by far. So you can see me spraying and dabbing up some and then leaving the rest not dabbed. That gives me like a variation of blue, some darker, some lighter. Now I want to do corset lacing. That's kind of like my thing. I just love to do it. So I'm lining up my papers and I'm punching my holes through both of the papers all at one time, and that way I know they're lined up exactly. So make sure that your papers are reversed and facing each other. I hope that makes sense and you saw what I did there. Otherwise they won't match up. So I'm just going to go all the way down, and I do count and make sure that I have enough holes to do a little bow at the end. I always love to do a little tie off at the end. So you need an odd number of holes. I've got some yarn I'm going to use for that, and for now I'm just going to adhere a side of the two sheets of paper on the side. I'm going to adhere the sides of them down, but not the part that is going to get laced up. I'm going to keep that loose for now, and that gives me room to pull my thread through and also to go in and kind of like distress and pull back and tuck some elements in. You'll see what I'm talking about as I go. And I don't cover the back until the very end, so you guys will see that disastrous watercolor thing that I had tried to do that did not work out. So I'm sorry you have to keep seeing that. I should have covered that ahead of time. And I hated that I had to cover up some of that beautiful under paper, but I peel back a lot, so you'll see it. And I do end up matting this tag on top of a larger one. So you can see there you have room to go ahead and still lace up, and I am just cutting the excess off. You could use a paper trimmer if you wanted to be exact, but I am not worried about that. So I am just trimming it like this, and I just distress. If I don't have my Prima distress tool on hand, I just use scissors. They work almost as well. They work pretty well. Just going around the edges with the scissors because they were what I had on hand, and that's what I used. Now I'm going in with a thread here. This is just run-of-the-mill, regular, cheapo like a neutral beige thread I had, and I kind of had a hiccup and my battery died, so I unlaced so that I could show you guys at least one. You'll see it kind of jump in the camera there, yeah, and it went from nighttime to daytime. So I showed you two. I'm just cross sewing, basically cross lacing them all the way down. I wanted you guys to get an idea though, so I waited until the next day to finish. I'm using the 8x8 paper collection and the 12x12. This tag was too big for the 8x8, so I had to use the 12x12 here. And again, I'm just eyeballing it the best I can. I am going to be distressing it. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do get my paper cutter out because I want to have nice, you know, semi-even edges. I don't want it to be crazy wonky looking. So I take a little bit of time and use my paper trimmer. But you see, I don't use any measurements or anything. I just kind of eyeball it. So I'm just cutting the sides of my tags, and I never add... Well, I shouldn't say never, but I very rarely ever add string through the top and add like my punched hole and a eyelet. It just never tends to look right for me, so that's why you see me skipping that. All right, now that I have that back sheet down, I really wanted to have this, I wanted to play off of these snowflakes that were already there. So I got some white crackle texture paste from Finnabair and one of her older stencils. Again, all of the products are linked on my blog and on Prima's blog. So I love the white crackle texture paste. I don't like to waste any. I have a glass tabletop, which saves me a ton of trouble. Makes it very easy for me to clean up. And I really wish I could have shown more of this because it was so beautiful when it dried. Like that crackle paste just, oh, I made sure it was very thick. You can see there, you're not seeing much of the stencil under there, because I want it to be very thick. The thicker you go with your crackle pastes, the more crackles you get. And even though this was a very intricate die, I ended up with some stunning crackles, which was very pleasing to me. So I'm just going on the edge there and adding the rest of it. I didn't want to waste any, so that's basically what I'm doing there. Kind of cleaning up a bit. And that is what it looks like before it is dry. Okay, now that it's dry, we're going to go in and add a little bit of the sterling silver micro beads, just here and there, just randomly. No rhyme, no reason, just sprinkling some on there. And it was, I said it was dry, but it was still a little bit wet. It was almost dry. It was almost like an afterthought. So I just kind of let it stay where it would, but it kind of fell off in most places, and that's okay. No big deal. It stayed in some and it fell off in a lot of the others, and that's okay. So now I'm using the 3D matte gel and one of Finnabair's silicone brushes, and I'm going on all of my edges there, and I'm adding silver micro beads. And I'm going to use that paper behind me to kind of catch the excess and pour it back into my jar if you're wondering why that's there. But I do this technique a lot. I really love it. It gives a ton of dimension. And it's just super fun to do. So I'm just adding, you could use glossy accents or any adhesive you have, even regular like tacky glue or white glue would work for this. So just adding it on the edges wherever I want a little bit of definition and just sprinkling those micro beads on top. And then I set that aside to dry completely. Now I'm doing the same thing to my smaller tag, my main tag, but this time I'm using the splash micro beads, which are so beautiful. I'm almost out, and oh, this is like one of my favorite sets. I really wanted to pull those blues out, like from the dragonfly blue and the paper that you can kind of see peeking through where the corset lacing is. And I'm adding it onto the yarn itself, and it just looks so pretty. I really love these splash micro beads. They really added a lot of interest, and it was really fun to play with those. Micro beads and glass glitter are my favorite art ingredients. I'm not a huge glitter fan, but I love glass glitter. So Finnabair products just, they're all a home run to me. Okay, so I let that one dry. I'm going to play with a couple of die. I didn't show me die cutting on, but you see there I used the circle confetti die and the LaFleur doily die stamp to get some die cut pieces there. And I'm using the journaling pad. I think that's the 4x6 one, and I fussy cut the antlers out, as you can see there, and I really wanted to make her extra Christmassy, so I fussy cut the antlers just to not make her a reindeer, but you know we all wear those hats at like Christmas time. So that's what I'm doing there, and I'm grabbing a couple of other pieces with some banners on it, and I'm going to fussy cut them out, and I'm going to add, I'm going through all of the journaling pads to kind of find the sentiment that I want for the tag. So you can see me kind of playing around a bit, but I ended up choosing this one, which says keep warm and carry on. It is my favorite. I love it. So I'm going to add that to the banner. And I usually cut my doilies in half because it really helps to stretch them out and you get more bang for your buck that way. So now I'm going to start adhering her antlers down, and I did cut them apart just because they were a little bit too separated for what I was going for. And I'm using Frank Garcia's Memory hardware artisan tape. It's a double-sided, really strong tape, and that product link is down below as well. But I love this tape. It's very strong, so I'm using it to adhere everything down, and then you can peel back that double-sided part whenever you're ready to adhere your gal down. And I was playing with this skirt. I wanted to add extra ruffles, and you'll see me tape it to the back initially right here, but I ended up going in and adding it on top of her legs. So that's the discrepancy you'll see there. But all I did, instead of taping it to the back, is I kind of lifted up a little bit on the front and just stuck it right under the front of her skirt. And it looked way better that way. And it really helped hide those knees that were very skeleton-esque from the Halloween collection. I mean, because she is skelly after all. Now I'm taking some white thread, just run-of-the-mill thread. This stuff is a must-have for every crafter. It just creates so much dimension. You'll see what I used for, I don't know if you can tell, but I have a huge, instead of just individual pop dots, I had these, I don't know where they came from, but I had these 3D like garden, double-sided adhesive garden shapes that I knew I was never going to use, like ever. So I just cut them out as they were and used the entire thing as like 2 giant pop dots, and it worked out perfectly for me. And I have a bunch left. So I just stuck the thread to that to give it some adhesion, and I'm just lining my smaller tag up on top of the larger one. And just kind of playing with my thread and pulling it and getting it where I want it to go. And you'll see me use the artisan tape a lot. The fact that it is double-sided really makes it easy to use anywhere. You're not going to see it because I'm adding other elements on top. So I border punched a piece here, and it is a wood paneling sheet. And I hate that it got covered up, but most of it did get covered up because I love that wood panel, wood grain, I guess you could say, sheet out of the paper. I wish there was a whole sheet that was that wood grain. I have a huge fascination with, you know, wood paneling when it comes to paper. And you can see there it kind of ripped. No worries. I just cut the edge again and lined it right back up. No big deal. Mistakes happen constantly. You just got to figure out a way to fix them and make it work. So I had to add a tiny little piece of pop dot under there because there was a difference in height there. And that just matched it up nicely. And I like to leave things like not adhered all the way around the edges because I like to add embellishments and kind of tuck them in here and there. So I try to leave a little bit of wiggle room. All right, now I'm taking another piece that's cut from the paper line, from the 12x12 sheet. It's just like a little roller. There's one sheet in that paper line that the entire sheet is like all little lines that there might be like 13 to 15 of them. And they're all just different patterns and rulers, and some of them say, you know, Christmas tidings and jolly and happy and different things like that. So I just cut those out with my paper cutter. And that's what I'm using here for the wood paneling and also for this ruler as well. And I'm just layering them on top of each other, just kind of having fun with my layers. A lot gets covered up when the doll gets added and I add those die cut doilies, but it's okay. That's part of the fun, you know. It's like little elements peeking out give your project so much interest, and it really is worth the extra effort just to build up your layers, because you never know what's going to show through. You can control what shows through to a certain extent, but you know, with this one, I just kept adding until I was happy with it. So I'm adding more thread, and again, grabbing that double-sided tape. You will see me do this over and over, so I should probably stop saying it. I think you guys get the gist by now, but it's my go-to for adding the thread down. Now I'm adding those confetti dies are amazing because you get all those different size circles, and this is one of those foiled sheets as well. But the negative that you're left with, I think immediately all of us were just like in love with the negatives that we got left with. They come in hearts, they come in, you know, geometric patterns, everything. And you're left with these really cool background. It almost looks like punchinella, so it's pretty cool. So I'm using that there, and I add one more piece too on the bottom as well. And it's like music notes, and it's silver foiled, and it just looks really pretty. And it gave my gal something nice to rest up on. So you'll just see me kind of playing around with the placement a lot. And if you see jumps in the video, it's because, you know, I pause and walk away and come back, and or my battery died, because even though this says 30-minute video, it was not done in 30 minutes. It took me like 2 days to do. I can do an altered project way quicker than I can do this. For some reason, altering things comes very easy for me, but tags and cards and layouts, things like that, are quite difficult for me. So it takes a little bit of finagling and moving things around until I am happy with it. So I had a little bit of thread poking out there. I'm just securing it down. I wanted to make sure nothing fell apart when I give this out. It's going to go on a package. It's a very large tag, so it's pretty much a gift in itself. But I'm going to write a message on the back, and it's going to go on my mother-in-law's Christmas gift. She just had her birthday along with Chris and his brother, so it's just like birthday on the brain. So the back of her, you don't see there, but I did go in and add some extra strength to her neck and her legs because it was just kind of flimsy. So you'll see some random weirdness back there, and that's only because of that. So I'm adding some little foam squares here and there on her little shoes and the skirt and the shirt and her head, just wherever they will fit basically and not show. Now from the side view, I think we all know how that works. It's gonna kind of peek through, but not bad, especially not on this one because I have a lot of flowers and other things covering her up. So I'm just going to add her down now. I was committed to her placement. And there she is. I have not come up with a name for her yet. I want to play off of Shelly since it was the Skelly one, but I haven't thought of it yet. So I'm adding some more of those die cut pieces that I had left over, and that's just the lid right there to the 3D matte gel. I just usually use the lid and just kind of tap off of it and get what I need pretty much. And 3D matte gel is definitely my favorite adhesive for embellishments and stuff, and the planner glue pens is a very close, it's almost a tie. I mean, I'm so in love with it, but I've almost ran through them already because I go through adhesives a lot. But I love the glue sticks, the glue pens. They're very awesome. So I have that banner sheet there, and I'm just kind of bending it. The front part was the piece that I fussy cut out, but I decided to use the back of it and add my own little sentiment there and just use the banner shape on my own. So that's what I did. So just turn it over backwards, and then I fishtail cut the edges of that banner and added some matte gel on the back. And just stuck it right on top of the banner, and I really think it looks adorable just like that. And I think it's even upside down, but you know what? It doesn't matter. There's another little fussy cut bow from the 3D, or from the journaling cards. It's 3D now, is what I was trying to say. I'm dipping it in the 3D matte gel and bending it so that it looks really 3D and dimensional. And I'm playing around with where I'm going to put my flowers. So right now I'm grabbing just one that was on my desk, just in my bin that I use for art journaling, but I grabbed it and put it there, along with the other ones you see. But then I will go in and use the beautiful, beautiful sweet peppermint flowers that coordinate with the collection perfectly. But all the flowers you see me grabbing here and the leaves, Miranda did use a leaf, that's like a miracle. They were just sitting there in my art journal bin. So now I'm pulling those sweet peppermint flowers. There's so many different ones in this range. There's a wide variety of styles and shapes and colors. I think you guys will love them. So I'm just adding them in no particular order, just wherever I felt like it looked good. Just kind of making a cluster over there to the right, just to kind of balance the tag out. So much was going on the left. I didn't want to neglect the right side of the tag. So you'll see a little jump in the video there, and I did take a few more pieces out of the journaling cards, and I'm just cutting some circle shapes out and adding them in and out of my flower clusters, and, you know, just tucking things in and out. And you can see me kind of like move around like I don't know where I want to place it. That sometimes I even peel things up entirely and move them. You don't have to commit right away to the placement, you know. It's really, I don't know, some people can just throw things down and it's amazing. For me, it takes a little bit of finagling and work to get things where I feel like they look okay. And I didn't have much traditional going on, like with the tag and the colors, and you know, you could tell it was Christmas, but I had to add Santa in there just to finalize that it was a Christmas tag. Now, these new memory hardware pearls from Frank Garcia and Prima are to die for. I loved the old line, don't get me wrong, but I said when I got the old line, like, oh, I wish these were like, you know, whites and pinks and creams, and then the next release, boom, I got what I asked for. So it was perfect. These are so amazing. I know I'm kind of off camera there, but to the very left in that lid, you can see all the different colors. They're just all so pretty. So there's pinks and creams and light browns and all kinds of different ones. So I'm just randomly adding them with the 3D matte gel, just dabbing, I guess I should say, them in the 3D matte gel. Now I've got a wax silk kit that I realized I hadn't used in forever, so I'm just taking that and using it. I'm using my big industrial heat tool, which is a paint stripper, by the way. It's not a regular heat tool. That's why it looks all kinds of beat up. It was from a honey shop. So I'm melting the wax, and then I'm just going to stamp into it with that wax seal kit, but you could use any stamp that you had. I've done it on other video tutorials. It's just been a really long time. I just happened to see it the other day. And it's just so cool. I love the effect you get there. So the last step is just adding some random sequins here and there. Again, dipping them in the matte gel and just randomly adhering them. Some I put in strategic places like the center of the bow, both of the bows. That was a tongue twister. The one on her skirt and the one in her hair. And that is pretty much it. I hope that you all enjoyed the video. 30 minutes for a tag, I know, but it's harder for me to do this than altered. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments down below, and I will answer them as soon as I can. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and thank you for watching. Bye.